Hello, my name is Drew and welcome to my channel. To let you know a little bit about myself, I'm 47 years old. I'm a father of a 13-year-old Ukrainian son, and I'll explain all that, how that came to be. In 2009, I met a girl by the name of Alina. She was from Sumy, Ukraine. I met her in Virginia, where I was living at the time. We started dating, we got married, and when she was about 6 months pregnant, she had gotten pulled over on her way home from work by a Virginia state trooper, and her visa was expired by about 3 weeks, and they detained her and shipped her to an ICE facility in Kentucky and ultimately deported her back to Ukraine. I thought this was, completely impossible. I mean, we were legally married, and apparently none of that mattered. Apparently they changed the laws after 9/11, and during the time that she was detained and uh, put in that ICE facility in Kentucky, the police wouldn't tell me where she was. So for 6 weeks, I was living in a nightmare. Nobody would tell me where my wife was. Finally, after about 6 weeks, they told me where she was in Kentucky. So I drove out there. And by the time I got there, they told me they had already put her on a plane and deported her back to Ukraine. And not only that, the State Department put a 15-year ban on her from getting another visa to come back to the States. So that was, total living hell for me. Um, you know, my son Eric was born in Sumy, Ukraine in September of 2011. And ever since then, I've been sending her Western Unions every month to support him and herself, to be able to provide a decent life for them. I was not able, to move over to Ukraine. For one, I don't speak Ukrainian. I speak somewhat decent Russian, but the wages are very low there. Like a very good job in Ukraine pays about $500 a month, to where I can make thousands of dollars a month here working, and be able to support them. And also, my mother, she was battling. She had stage 4. It's called Wolfenstrom's macroglobular anemia. I know it's a mouthful. It's basically a rare form of bone cancer, but my mom was fighting that, and I was the only one living in Virginia, near her, that was able to take care of her. Both my brothers were living down in Florida during that time. So, I basically moved in with my mother. I got rid of my apartment, moved in with my mother, and took care of her, from 2011 till 2018, until where my mother and I left Virginia and we moved down to Florida and moved in with my oldest brother. Um, that way, my mom could get better health care, and treatments, cancer treatments. Her oncologist in Virginia had retired, and the new person that took his spot, was really a shitty doctor. So, yeah, we got her out of there and moved her down to Florida. That way she could go to the Mayo Clinic. And also, my oldest brother's wife, April, she was fighting triple negative breast cancer at the time. She ultimately passed away in March 2020 because of it. Um, but so, we were dealing with all of that, plus me having to work and support my son over in Ukraine. And then in February 2022, the Russians invaded Ukraine, and Sumy, which is in northeastern Ukraine, was one of the first cities to be overtaken by the Russians. And Alina and Eric, along with hundreds of thousands of other civilians, were taking refuge in the metro stations, which are about 30 feet below ground in Sumy. And during that time, I would call them every day to check on them, see how they're doing, and I could hear gunshots and tanks firing, from up above in the streets. And to be honest, I was scared to death. Um, I felt completely helpless. I wasn't able to do anything to protect my son. The only thing I was able to do at the time was I was able to wire Alina $15,000 via Western Union. I had been sending her Western Unions for so many years at this point. Didn't even have to go anywhere to pick up the money. She would just go online and accept the Western Union, and it would get deposited directly into her bank account, which is really nice. So it made it possible for me to wire her that money without her having to come out of the metro station, and be at risk of getting shot and killed, by those freaking bastard Russians. Um, Also, during that time, Alina's apartment building, where her flat was, where she lived with her parents and Eric, was shelled numerous times, and ultimately completely destroyed. So they had nowhere to go back to, once the place was finally liberated by the AFU, which is Armed Forces of Ukraine. Um, but during that time, they had a huge battle there. It's called the Battle of Sumy. You can look it up on YouTube. They have a somewhat decent documentary about it. Um, Also, during that time, I would call them every day and talk to them, see how they're doing, and like I said, I could hear the gunfire and the tanks firing, up above in the streets, and I was scared to death. I couldn't do anything to protect them. And the last phone call I had with them, um, uh, you know, my son Eric was telling me, don't worry, Papa, we're okay, we're safe, we're gonna be safe. And Alina had told me that numerous classmates of Eric had gone up above, out into the streets at nighttime to try to collect, supplies to bring back down to the metro station, and they were shot and killed by the Russians, and these were 10-year-old kids, 10, 11-year-old kids that were being shot, and slaughtered by the Russians, for just coming out and try to, get supplies, for the family. Um, yeah, sorry. The last phone call I had with them, um, Eric was telling me, "Don't worry, we're going to be safe, and we're going to be okay." And then Alina was telling me, it was getting really, really bad. The fighting was getting really, really, heavy and bad. And she told me, she said, "I'm really scared." And then the phone went out, and basically it was a loud explosion. And the next thing you know, the phone just knocked out. And I tried calling back, and I couldn't get through to her. And I tried for the next 9 days, calling them numerous times, a day, through email, Facebook, Zoom, all that, Telegram, every way possible, on the phone, everything, to try to, get in touch with them. And I had, and it wouldn't, I had no way to get a hold of them, there was like no service. So I didn't know what happened. I didn't know if, they had gotten killed in this explosion that I heard when the phone cut out. I had no idea, what happened, and I was scared to death, you know. And for the next 9 days, I lived in a living hell. I thought they had been killed, in that explosion that I heard when the phone cut out. So I was going to work every day and dealing with that stress, and I was getting like an hours sleep a night, Um, and it was just absolutely horrible. I was like a freaking zombie at that time. I was so stressed out. I'm completely surprised I didn't die of a heart attack. That's how much stress I was going through. Um, and then finally, after 9 days went by, I got a phone call from a +48 country code, and I didn't know, I never heard of that country code before, so I thought it was like some Indian scammer trying to sell me like an extended warranty, my car, or whatever, just some scammer. And I wasn't going to answer the phone, and finally something just told me to answer it, and I answered it, and the first thing I heard was, "Papa, we're alive," and oh my God. I dropped to my knees and I was crying, thanking God. You know, God answered my prayers. I had been praying every day, every night. Faithfully, begging Him, to make sure, Eric and Alina and and her parents were, were safe and, still alive and just okay. And, thank, I was so grateful to God, I was just crying and crying and thanking God for answering my prayers. Um, he said, Papa, we're okay. We're in Poland. I was like, Poland? How do you get there? And I had been hoping, they could get out of Sumy, but, with the war going on, they were trapped there. But, after the Ukrainian military, took back the city and drove the Russians out, they brought in humanitarian buses for the civilians. And they were able to get on one of those buses, and they had a 58-hour bus ride to Poland. And thankfully, they were given a lot of help by the Polish citizens. So thank you to them. If any of them are watching this, thank you so much. Yeah, I am forever indebted to you. Seriously, I really am. A Polish family wound up taking Eric and Alita in, and so ever since then, they've been living in Poland as refugees. And I haven't been able to bring them here to the States. Eric's passport's expired, and there's a 3-year backlog on getting a new passport right now because of the war. Um, so anyway, I wound up flying to Poland to see Eric and Alina, and I spent 2.5 months there with them. And we toured around Poland. We went to Gdansk, Poland, which is up on the Baltic Sea. From there, we went all the way down to Zator, Poland, Zator. They have a huge amusement park there. We went there, I think, June of 2022. Um, oh, yeah, sorry, June of 2022. Sorry, alarm just went off. Um, and we went to their amusement park called Energylandia, which is kind of like a European Disneyland sort of thing. And they have a big amusement park and water park, and we went there. And from there, we stayed there for a couple days. And from there, we went to Krakow, Poland, and stayed in Krakow for about a week or so. And then from there, I went to Warsaw, then Warsaw back to Gdansk. And we just had an absolutely wonderful time. It was amazing to be able to spend time with my son, to be able to meet my son and spend time with him. I had only ever met him, over video chat, since he was born, so that was an amazing experience, to be able to finally, hug my son and, just see what an amazing boy he is. And, I'm so proud of him. I really am. He speaks Russian, Ukrainian, some English, and now he's learning Polish, and his mother speaks fluent, obviously Russian, Ukrainian, and she speaks literally fluent Polish. And I mean, how she learned that so quickly, I could never, I wouldn't be able to do it, obviously, but, she is brilliant with learning languages, she's such a smart woman. She's amazing. Um, but you know, uh, as a father, I felt indebted to the Ukrainian military because the men and women of the armed forces of Ukraine came in the Sumy and they fought the Russians, and a lot of Ukrainian soldiers died, and a lot were injured during that process. You know, and as a father, I felt so indebted to them that I left Alina and Eric in Poland, and I traveled to Ukraine. And once I got to Kyiv, I went to the Ministry of Defense and told them that I wanted to volunteer. And they had asked me if I had prior military experience. I told them no. And I said, but I was raised with firearms. My father was a huge gun guy, and he used to take my brothers and I to the rifle range, every weekend since, I was about 5 years old, and, shoot shotguns and, rifles, AK-47s, SKSs, KS-47s, I believe, handguns, and my dad, taught my brothers and I how to break them down and clean them, and obviously gun safety and whatnot. So I was really familiar with firearms. I had been my entire life, and I explained that to them, and I was in really good physical health at the time. I had been working out before going over to Poland. I was working out and I was taking testosterone, so I was in really good physical shape, and so they let me volunteer, and they sent me to the training grounds where I stayed for about 2.5, 3 weeks or so, learning basic stuff like how to throw a grenade, how to dial in mortars, you know, just firing, basic military drills, signals, how whatnot. But so I left from there, and I was assigned to the Third Separate Assault Brigade, Third Assault Company, Second Platoon, which is Frost Platoon, and I fought in Bucha, Irpin, Dnipro, and Bakhmut, and that's where I was injured at, on the outskirts of Bakhmut. We were getting shelled really heavily by the Russians, and a 152 millimeter artillery shell exploded about a meter, meter and a half away from me, and I wound up suffering a fractured skull, a subdural hematoma, which is a big blood clot on my brain, on the right side of my brain, broken left collarbone, a broken left arm, a broken left leg in 2 places, 2 broken ankles, a broken right wrist, 2 cracked ribs on my left side, 3 broken on my right, a damaged vertebrae in my neck, and I had almost every single one of my teeth knocked out of my mouth from the shrapnel. And I was in a coma for 3 months and 26 days. And I was in hospital number 8, and then from there, hospital number 3. And then I had 7.5 weeks of rehabilitation. And I don't know if you can see my scar. I'll try to show it to you. I don't know if you're, yeah, yeah, you can see her there. It goes here, goes all the way back. But yeah, it's my scar from that, and here's my, try to show it to you. That is a Western Knight holding the shield of Ukraine and holding a lightsaber in the other hand. I'm kind of a Star Wars guy. And here, that's my son's name, Eric, in Ukrainian. And there, Ukrainian flag. And I have on my chest, 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, Maniac, which was my call sign, and my blood type. And that tattoo really saved my life. A lot of guys would do that. They would tat their blood type onto their chest or arms or whatnot. Usually safer on your chest, because a lot of times you'll lose limbs from explosions. If your arm or your leg gets blown off, you still got your chest. So I had it written on my chest. So that was kind of helpful for them in the hospital. And but apparently I died twice on the way to the hospital, and one more time in the hospital. They told me I was dead for 8 minutes in the hospital, and then they were finally able to revive me. But I saw a lot of horrible things during the time I served for 10.5 months in Ukraine until the time I got injured. And I saw some really horrible things in Bucha, where the Russians, where they killed the civilians. They were part of the Ukrainian defense. I'm trying. It's Defense League or something like that. But Ukrainian Territorial Defense, and they were zip tied and taken out and all shot in the back of the head and just thrown in mass graves. and they also killed, a lot of other civilians, women and children and whatnot, and also looted all their all their houses and flats and whatnot, and stole all their property. I mean, the Russians are absolutely thieves. I mean, they were stealing washing machines, computers, and anything of value the Russians would steal. Apparently the washing machines, there's some parts in there that they can use on to fix their tanks with, apparently. So that's why they were apparently stealing them. Um, but man, God, the the amount of horrific shit I saw over there. I mean, I have really bad PTSD from that. Really, really bad. I've saw thousands, I mean, not hundreds, but thousands of corpses during those 10.5 months. Um, a lot of corpses just, left there in the fields or in the forest belts, to rot. And you come up, and you find them all over the place, and their bodies are decomposing, and their whole face is full of maggots, and it's just absolutely, horrible shit to see, and uh, the only like emotion like I found, along with the people, my brothers I served with, was, when you see stuff like that, is to laugh and make jokes, like, look at this guy, his whole face is, I mean, it's, the maggots are eating his face, fucking, fucking orc and all that shit. You call Russians orcs, just a term the Ukrainians use for the Russians. Comes from the Lord of the Rings, the orcs from that movie. So that's why they call the Russians the orcs, but or the invaders or whatever. But just seeing thousands of dead bodies and shit, and you know, a lot of people killed up front. I shot a lot of people. I mean, yeah, I definitely killed a lot of Russians, and so maybe I made the country a little bit safer because of that. I see some of these guys, because I killed them in the trenches. I see their faces in my dreams, and from time to time, and um, but anyway, once I got out of the hospital and had my rehabilitation, I came home, and they wouldn't let me go back out to the front lines because of my brain injury. My concussion was still really bad at that point, and they told me I'd be too much of a liability. I'd wind up getting other people injured or killed. Which I had to ultimately accept. So so I was sent home, and when I was sent home, I felt like I was abandoning my brothers. I really did. I served with a lot of guys from all over the world. Australia, Mexico, Guatemala, Canada, France, Germany, England, Scotland. And met a lot of really cool people. And some guys I got really close to, and a lot of those guys wound up losing their lives. And like my friend Ruslan, who's actually from Crimea, um, and he wound up dying in my arms. He was shot in his chest. It went through his Kevlar. Um, he was also shot in his throat, and he wound up bleeding out in my arms. And that's something I'll never forget. I was really close to that guy. He's a really really cool guy. And his native land of Crimea, was overtaken by the Russians. It has been since 2014, and you know he basically living as a refugee in Kiev, until he joined the forces, and he was telling me about how much it hurt him for his land to be overtaken and still be under occupation by the Russians. So he was telling me hopefully he was looking forward to the day that he could go back to Crimea, and it would be back under Ukrainians' control. So his land will be free once again, and it's still not to this day. But that's what he was looking forward to, and fortunately, he never um, is going to be able to see that because, he wound up passing away. So, that's one of the things that, has really affected me. And, anyway, once I got back here to the States, um, I flew back into Jacksonville and, I went back to my brother's house. And when I got there, he completely flipped out at me, going, "You stupid MF and all this, and going over to Ukraine and fighting the Russians. The F you thinking, fucking, you're lucky you're not dead, blah, blah, blah." I mean, all this shit. And, my brother was always an alcoholic, but once his wife, April, died, he got really, really worse and a lot worse. And he's a really, really nasty, rotten, verbally abusive drunk. And uh, so he completely flipped out of me and, told me to get the F out of there. So I didn't have anywhere to go. So I became homeless for the first time in my life. So I wound up sleeping I went to Fernandina Beach. It was about a 11, 12 mile walk. I walked there and was, carrying my suitcase. And I wound up sleeping on the beach for about 3 weeks or so until my other brother was finally able to get some time off of work and drove over to Fernandina and met me and picked me up and took me to the Jacksonville train station and bought me a train ticket and gave me a little bit of money. And I came back up to Pennsylvania. And from Philadelphia, I took the train to Doylestown. And my friend Andy picked me up. And I stayed with Andy, for a few days. Um, and his dad, didn't want anyone else moving in or whatever. So I was only just able to stay there for a few days. And then I left and I stayed with a few other friends of mine, George and Elizabeth, and then I didn't have anywhere else to go, and I was really depressed, and when I came home, I was dealing with like really really bad extreme culture shock, like nothing made sense to me, it really didn't, and I realized like I couldn't survive in this type of environment, you know. I was able to survive on the front lines, with a weapon in my hand for 10 and a half months, with no prior military training, you know. But I was able to survive here, Like society didn't make sense to me, Like after experience what I experienced over in Ukraine, like no, like not like this reality over here didn't make sense to me. It really didn't, and I couldn't deal with it. It was too frightening to me, and for the first time in my life, I really felt scared, like really scared, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you and say I wasn't scared, while I was engaged in, firefights and stuff like that, everybody's scared, but, not like I was when I came home. I was terrified. And, you know, uh, you know, I realized I couldn't survive here, and I had nowhere to go, and I had no money, and I just figured, what the hell, might as well kill myself, and, because that eventually that's what it leads to, and so I went down to Kensington, Philadelphia, which is like an open air drug market, the biggest one on the East Coast, and I bought 6 bags of fentanyl, and I left there, and I took the train back out to Ambler, Pennsylvania, and I found a patch of woods in there. I set up, whatnot. Um, I stayed in the woods for a day or two. Then I was just like, fuck it, nobody's gonna miss me. So I wound up doing all 6 bags at once, trying to kill myself. And I woke up the next day face down in the dirt, and cold, wet, hungry, you know, and it was horrible, absolutely horrible. So I went back down to Philadelphia and I panhandled, and I got up, I don't know, maybe $60 or so, and I bought 8 more bags of that stuff. I figure, if 6 didn't do it, 8 will, you know. And normally that stuff is so strong, like it's like a miracle 6 didn't kill me, I mean, these drug addicts down there, they use just a tiny bit out of the bag, and that can kill them. So I couldn't figure out why 6 didn't kill me. But anyway, I bought 8 and did the same thing. And but this time I had walked to a Ukrainian Catholic church, and I had written a note, apologizing. But I wanted to die in what I see as like Holy Land. You know, um, you know, to me, it was my connection with Ukraine. Like my mother was Ukrainian also. My mom spoke Russian as well. So, I guess I'm half Ukrainian and, Ukrainian American or whatever. But, I went to the Ukrainian Catholic Church and left a note apologizing, saying telling them I served over, in Ukraine, and, I couldn't deal with society over here, and I had nobody, and, I was all alone, and, I just, yeah, I'm sorry, please forgive me, So, I went up doing all 8 bags, and when I was falling out, uh, nodding off, my phone rang, and somehow I answered it, and it was my friend Andy. He's asked me what was going on, and I told him, and within 10 or 15 minutes, he showed up, and he wound up squirting Narcan up my nose, and that wound up saving my life. And he put me in his car, and he drove me to the Horsham Clinic, which is in Ambler, Pennsylvania. And it's like a psych ward, for people who try to commit suicide and whatnot. So he took me there, and I stayed there for about 3 weeks. And from there, they sent me to the St. Luke's Penn Foundation in Sellersville, Pennsylvania. I was there for 41 days for the drug rehab because I used, fentanyl to try to kill myself. And from there, they sent me next door to St. Luke's Village of Hope, which is a sober living community where I'm living at now. I've been here for about 3 months. They've helped me file for my disability, which I was approved because my injuries I suffered over in Ukraine. I was able to get them all the medical records, so I was approved instantly for disability. But right now, just waiting on my disability to take effect. They said it'd be another 2 or 3 months until I'd receive it. But because they have to do like a whole background check on you after you're approved, then from there, they make you wait another month or so till they finally, deposit the money into your account, to your online account or whatever. So I'm just waiting on that. But as of right now, I have 1 pair of pants, 1 pair of sweatpants, which I'm wearing right now, that are way too big for me. I only have a few shirts and a few pairs of socks, and like 3 pairs of underwear or whatever. I'm in desperate need of clothes. I need more pants, more shirts. I don't have a winter jacket. It's really cold outside, so I stay inside all the time. I don't go out at all, unless I have to have a doctor's appointment or something, or was going to my IOP, which is intense outpatient. I did that for 2.5 months, and I graduated from that. I've been sober since July 23rd, 2023. So I have that going for me. Um, but if I'm really in need of help. I really am. Like I said, I need clothes. I need money for for food. And I mean, they feed you here or whatnot, but they also take you out to Walmart and to Wawa, which is a convenience store if you're not familiar with Wawa. But you know, I definitely like to be able to buy some things at Walmart, more clothes, and also I need money for cosmetics. The guys here have been cool, and they've been giving me razors here and there. I just got one this morning I was able to shave with. But I need like shampoo, body wash, whatever. So I'm in really need of in need of some things. Um, so I'm asking for help. I mean, and this is really hard for me, for me to do this because, I've never asked anyone for help before in my entire life. I've always been the one to give help, to be able to help my friends, if they had a problem. I would always, be there to help them out, whatever. And, when I was working, full time, when I would encounter homeless people, I'd always give them like $20 and, or buying food and throw them a 20 on top of that, knowing that, I basically know what they do with it. You go get a bottle of alcohol or, or buy drugs with it, whatever, I mean, they're, whatever. I didn't care if they used the money for that, but, or, I hope they wouldn't, but I'm pretty much sure they did, so, but, so yeah, I mean, I was always the one, that helped other people out. Like when I was in Dnipro, Ukraine, there was a mass deportation of the civilians in Dnipro, and just I mean hundreds, absolutely hundreds of tour buses, full of families, women and children that were leaving Dnipro and going to Warsaw, Poland. And it was heartbreaking because none of the men or the sons that were 16 years of age or older were allowed to leave. So seeing all these families saying goodbye to their husbands and their sons, who are banned from leaving Ukraine because of the war, it's absolutely heartbreaking, man. It really is. And I helped them move a lot of things out of their house and loaded their luggage, taking them, over to where the buses were. You know, it, man, I gotta say, man, like people in the United States, you know, have absolutely no clue on how good we have it here. I mean, none. I mean, it's it's almost incomprehensible like how well we have it here. You know, I mean to be able to see that. I mean, just thousands and thousands of families being separated. Crying and hugging. Knowing that they might not ever see their loved ones again. If their husbands are, mobilized or their sons are mobilized, by the government and sent to the front lines, chances are they're going to get killed, you know? And, that's the reality of things, over there. And, seeing all these people's homes destroyed, just absolutely blown to shit, to rubble. And seeing these people lose everything and still you'd see them smile, you know, like, wow, yeah. To be able to see them smile and, and just to be thankful that they have the most basic of things, like bottles of water, you know, they're so grateful for, for food, for clothing, you know, they are so grateful for that, and they're so grateful for the people that are there helping them, and I was fortunate enough to be one of those people, and that really means like, oh, I am so grateful I was able to help them. It means so much to me. I mean, like I could die right now and be a happy man for just for that alone. To know that I played a part in that. And those people. They would hug and kiss me. And they would call me hero. Call me hero. I'm not a hero. But that's what they call me, hero. You know, because I volunteered. To to protect them, to try to, secure their freedom against, the oppression of the Russians, who are just evil, evil, rotten bastards, Excuse me. I mean, let me get a drink real quick. I'm sorry. Sorry. They really are. They steal everything they can, I mean, I remember we got in this one engagement. It was in the outskirts of Bakhmut, and we wound up lighting up these Russians and just, you know, blew them to shit. So we went up and we were going through their shit, you know, because, you know, you always take extra ammunition and whatever. And all, like, in their fucking, in their backpacks and all their shit, they would have women's purses, women underwear, perfume. That was all shit they stole, you know, and they were thinking they could take it back, you know, and give it to their wives as presents, you know. I mean, you know, stealing women's underwear and shit like that. Like, what the f are these? You know, these people are. I mean, yeah, that's why we call them orcs. You know, they're freaking trolls, man. I mean, they're just evil beings. You know, and all they do is loot and steal shit. You know, and kill and destroy everything around them. You know, I mean, they're they have no morals whatsoever, none. You know, so I take no pity upon them. You know, and while I was there, I'm not gonna lie to you about this. While I was there, you know, we captured a lot of Russians, and the one, you know, I would talk to them and, you know, find out, you know, ask them, hey, you know, did you partake in the Battle of Sumy, you know, the overtaking of Sumy? And they told me, yeah. Oh, believe me, I did some pretty bad shit to them. You know, let's just say they're not gonna be able to have any more kids. Put it that way. I made damn sure of that. You know, and I made sure that they survived. You know what I did to them. You know, that way they didn't bleed out. But to make them live the rest of their lives, not be able to, you know, delay with a woman again. That was their punishment for, you know, doing what they did to my son's city, you know, and for killing civilians and raping women there and looting their homes, you know. I made sure they're never ever going to be able to, you know, be with a woman again, you know. So, you know, call me guilty of war crimes, go ahead. I don't give a shit, you know. I mean, really, I don't, you know. But I thought that'd be a just punishment, and I wasn't the only one. You know, I mean, we didn't all do it, but a lot of us did. You know, so you know, a lot of that went on, and they did it to our soldiers as well. You know, um, you can look that up. You know, about them castrating Ukrainian soldiers. You know, the Russians. You know, the Russians did the same exact thing. You know, so I don't have any remorse for them, you know, at all. You know, they got their just punishment. They really did. You know, they came to you know, a foreign country, a sovereign country, with a machine gun in their hand, looking to kill civilians. You know, so that's their punishment. You know, so anyway, you know, so you want to go ahead and call me guilty of war crimes? Yeah, I guess I am, but also I don't give a shit. You know, I just knew I went to protect my son's country, and ultimately, you know, I almost lost my life. You know, like I said, I was in a coma for 3 months and 26 days, and had numerous broken bones and injuries, and a brain injury as well. But anyway, so I'm living at the Village of Hope now in Sellersville, Pennsylvania, and you know, I need help. You know, with things like getting more clothes, new clothes, and you know, money for cosmetics and stuff like that. You know, so like I said, this is the first time in my life I've ever had to ask anyone for help. But if you are willing to help me, you know, it would truly mean a lot to me. It really would. Um, One of the other guys here helped me set up a Cash App account. I have a Cash App. My Cash App is Bentley Bassett. Capital Bentley, Bassett, capital Basset. So it's Bentley Bassett, both capital B's. Bentley was my Basset Hound I had for about 14 years. He was my best friend. I loved him so much. He passed away in 2016 of old age. You know, I had him since he was 6 weeks old, and you know, we had a great life together. So I named my Cash App after him. But, if anyone's viewing this and, you're willing to help me, like I said, it would truly mean the world to me. It really would. Um, because after I came home from Ukraine, like I said, I became homeless. I tried taking my life twice. I'm living in a sober community now. So, I'm getting the help that I need. But, I don't have any means of, getting any of the things that I need right now. So if you can help me, I truly would really appreciate that. Um, I'm going to go ahead and cut this video short. And thank you for listening. And I'll upload more videos. And let me know what you want to hear. Do you want to hear, about the engagements I was in? Things that we did to the Russians, things I saw, people I helped. Um, I mean, just tell me what you want to hear. And, if I saw it, if I did it, I'd be happy to tell you about it, no matter how gross or grotesque it is, I'll tell you, I'll tell you about how we used to take the cell phones off the dead Russians. They're idiots to carry cell phones. We could always locate their position because of these cell phones. And after we engaged them, we killed them. We would take their cell phones and take pictures of them, of their corpses, and go through their phone contacts and find their mother's phone number, their wife's phone number, and we take their pictures and we put a text onto it, saying, "Hey, this is your husband came to Ukraine with a machine gun in his hand. You know, this is him now. If you have any friends or relatives that are thinking of coming here, show them this so they don't come here. You know, but if they do, this is what's going to happen to them." And we send those pictures to their mothers, their wives, whoever, post it on Telegram, you know. So, we did it as part of, trying to, you know, put an idea in their head to, for them not to come here, But, anyway, let me know what you want to hear. And if I know it, if I did it, and believe me, I did a lot of shit over there, a lot. I'll let you know. And I'll give you a video about it the best I can, All right, well, I'm going to cut this short. Again, my name is Drew. This is my channel. It's a new channel. Oh, I've had it for a while, but I never post up videos or whatever. But I'm going to start doing that. So let me know what you want to hear, and leave it in the comment section, and I'll get back to you. All right, peace out. Take care. All right, God bless. Goodbye.